You're welcome to our Dynamics 365 series, which we titled Microsoft Dynamics 365 Fundamental ERP. Today is the third week of our series, and over the past week, we've been able to get an introduction to Dynamics 365 ERP, where we're able to discuss the core capabilities of the applications, how we can log onto the application, what the application is all about, what are the different apps that comes with Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation. And the following week, we looked at the fundamentals of Dynamics 365 Finance, where we were able to talk about basic things like legal entities, how to create ledgers, how to create main accounts, and how to set up things like currencies and exchange rate. We also look at how we can set up journals and how we can make use of these journals on the system. Today, we will look at the fundamentals of supply chain in Dynamics 365 ERP. So, we say that Dynamics 365 ERP actually has different apps, and part of those apps we have the finance, we have the supply chain, we have the human resources, we have the commerce, and we have the project operations. So today we are looking at supply chain management in Dynamics 365. So just a little bit of a recap. My name is Siabi Komi, winner. I am Microsoft certified trainer, and I work with a company called James Consulting, where we deploy ERP business applications, the likes of CRM, FO, Business Central, Azure, and the rest of them. And today is my birthday, actually. So happy birthday to me. And let's proceed to the main thing of the day. So in this module, we'll be talking about the different things we have in supply chain. So we're going to explore the capabilities of supply chain management. What can we do with supply management app in Dynamics 365, finance and operation? We are also going to explore the warehouse management, inventory management in supply chain, and also what are the different manufacturing strategies that we have in SCM, which is supply chain management. So let's start with the general capabilities that we have in Dynamics 365 supply chain management. So in SCM, we have things like asset management. So in supply chain management, we can take control of how we execute flow of goods and services in the organization. And supply chain management also encompasses everything from product development to production and sales. So we can develop our products, we can produce our products, we can purchase our product as well, and we can also make sales of our product. So what are the features that we have? We have these modules in supply chain management. So we have modules like the product information management module, we have the asset management module. So in the product information management module, for instance, there we are able to see how we can create our items. This is actually the backbone of supply chain management, because without products, there is nothing like supply chain management. When I talk about supply chain management, we're talking about products, how we create them, how we manage them in the inventory in our warehouses, on the site, and how we can produce them if we are a company that deals with manufacturing, and how we can sell them to our customers. So in the product information management model, we are able to design our product. We have the asset management model. So in the asset management model, this is an advanced model for managing our assets, how we can maintain our assets, how we can create maintenance, um, and how we can also integrate this asset management module with finance and operations app. We have the cost management, we have the service management, we have the inventory management. With the inventory management, we can track our items, where they are at every point in time, and master planning help us to plan for our items in the future. Then we also have the warehouse management. So I spoke about the warehouse management, and the warehouse management, it simply give us the flexibility or different ways to define our warehouse layouts. If you have sites, warehouses, if we have things like locations, pallets, and the rest of them. Then we have the transport management module. So with the transport management module, we can use this to transport our goods to our customers' end. Production control. So here we are able to define everything that surrounds productions, and we have processes like the lean manufacturing, we have processes like discrete manufacturing, process manufacturing. So we can define all of this in our production control model. Then we have the sales and marketing. That is where we create our customers. That's where we place our sales orders, and we also create invoices for sales, and we end up with customer payment. Then the IoT intelligence is an add-on that comes with that we can integrate with supply chain management. And what this does, it gives us good insights and give us some analytic reports when it comes to supply chain management. Now let's dive into product information management. Before that, I will quickly show us these modules that I just made mention of on the system. So I said we have modules like product information management module. So let's see this on the system. Okay. So here we have the ERP, and when I come to modules, here we have the modules that are mentioned of. We have modules like management, we have the cost accounting, we have the cost management, we have the inventory management, procurement and sourcing, product information management, production control, transport management, warehouse management. So like I said, the product information management is the backbone of supply chain, because this is where we create our products and our services. Now, before we go ahead and create the product, let's see what's the concept about products in supply chain management. So that takes me back to my slide. So here we have product master's record and product variant. So there is this concept of product master in supply chain management. So a product is anything that we need to run our businesses in supply chain management, right? So take for instance, I have a laptop. The laptop is a product, and this product is an item. So items, you buy items that you use for consumptions or distributions, resale. And service, say for instance, we have a consulting firm that we need to render us a service of maybe auditing our system, or even helping us with implementing Dynamics 365 finance and operation. So that is a product of type service. Now we have product subtypes. A product is a uniquely identifiable product. So here we have product like a generator, we have a ring, we have a juice. This is a product. Now a product master define how distinct products are described and how they behave in business processes. So let's pick this white shirt for instance. This white shirt is a product master in the sense that this is the starting point of my product, and with the white shirt, I can have different products that are derived from this white shirt. So the white shirt could be turned into a red shirt, it could be turned into a purple one, or even a green shirt. So in that case, these three shirts are called product variant. I can even have a small red shirt, or I can have a red shirt of size medium, of size large, or of size extra large. So in that case, we talk about product variant. So if I am an organization that deal with product variant, the ideal thing to do is to firstly create a product master, and once this is created, I can then define my product variant using things like the color, the size, and other configuration tools. All right, so let's see how we can relate this on the system. So we're moving to the ERP, and we can explore product masters and product variants in Dynamics 365. So I'm sharing my screen again. All right. So here, when I come back to the product information management module, we have things like product. So on the product submenu, I can easily click on product. I have products, product masters, and product variant. So let's go to product masters. So here, girls t-shirts as a product master. So what this simply means is t-shirts could have different product variants. And how do we define product variant? We make use of what we call the product dimension group. So this product dimension group here, I can see something that says size and color. What this simply tells me is girls t-shirts could be made available in different sizes and in different color. That's what it means. So I can create a new product master, give it a name, define the point dimension group, and also define what we call the storage dimension group. So the storage dimension group simply tells the system, this is how I want my item or my product to be stored in my inventory. So I could store my products in a site and in a warehouse and even in a location, or I can store them only in a site, then in a warehouse. So what that simply means is I could have site 1, warehouse 11, site 1, warehouse 12, site 1, warehouse 13. So there we have our product master. So I'll come back here and I come to product variant. So I click on product variant. So here I'm going to see products that were derived from product masters. So earlier we looked at a product master called girl t-shirt. So I could filter here on product name and say girl. So let's filter. Good. So with only girl, we are able to derive many type of products. So the usefulness of the product master and the product variant is, so you don't want to come to the system and create a product called girl t-shirts large color blue. You come back to create another one, girl t-shirts large color purple, color white, so on and so forth. We can only create one, and with our product variant configuration tool, we could have several product variants. Now, another thing I want to talk about here is release product. So during our previous classes, we spoke about legal entities. So legal entities define the business or an organizational structure in the system. So I could create an item, and I would like this item to be visible in just one legal entity. So take for instance, I have a group of businesses. One group reside in the US, the other one resides in Nigeria. The legal entity in US deals with cars, while the one in Nigeria deals with perfume, for instance. So I wouldn't want items that speak to cars to be showing release them to specific legal entities. So there we talk about release products. So what that simply means is release products are specific to legal entities, while product masters are available across the whole system. So when I am in USMF, for instance, and I come to release products, these are the items that I have available. But if I switch from USMF to, say, USP, for instance, which is a legal entity, I am going to see other release products. So let's try that. So I come to USP2. So here I expect to see release product that speak to orange or just so here you can see that we have different release products. So how do I create a release product? It's that simple. I click on new. So take for instance, I want to create a product here called water. Now, when I'm getting my product, we have product type, which is either an item or a service. So in this case, I'm creating an item. So the product subtype, is it a product or a product master? I am creating a product, not a product master. So I click on product. And here I can define the product name, number and call this KWS001. Then name here, I call it KS water. Then there are basic things that need to be done when we are creating an item. So these basic setups are things like the item model group, the item group. So the item group defines how these items behave when they are in the inventory. So take for instance, I want to move an item from the inventory. How do I want the system to be able to factor the cost for me? So we have different model group, which are first in, first out, last in. Then the next thing I want to pick the item group. The item group is used for postings. So here I'll pick any one of my choice. Then we have storage dimension group. So I spoke about the storage dimension group earlier to tell the system this is how I want to store my items in my inventory. So here I'll pick site and warehouse. Then we have what we call the tracking dimension group. The tracking dimension group is used for tracking the item. So items that have serial numbers like laptops can use tracking dimension group that speak with serial. So I can easily pick items. So I could have the same laptop, same design, maybe in up to 10 quantities. So I want to be able to track them by serial number. So we can define that. For my item, which is water, I don't want to track this, so I'll pick none as the tracking dimension. There are other things like the units, which I'll leave for now. Then I will click on OK. So having done that, we just created an item in supply chain in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation. So if there's a need to add other details, we can always come back to the detail page of the item or the release product and add other information. So let's go back to the slide. We just created an item that can be used across the system. We can either use that item for purchase requisitions, for purchase orders, even for sales. Now, let's talk about trade agreements and discounts. So, what are trade agreements? Trade agreements are simply contracts that are signed between an organization and a vendor or a customer. So, say for instance, I have a customer that I buy things from. We could have an agreement that says, "Hi, if you're buying 10 of item A from me, you're going to get a discount of 10%." Or there could be an agreement that says, if you're buying an item from me and you're going to make payment within the next 5 days, you get a discount from me. So we can create a trade agreement journal where we can define our trade agreement, and we have different trade agreement options. We have the trade agreement pricing, which relates to the price of an item on a sales or on a purchase transaction. We can also define our trade agreement based on line discounts. So if I'm purchasing two items, I'm giving a discount on a single line item. Then we can also have that on multiple discount, a multiple line discount. Then we can also have discount based on the total. So if I'm purchasing three different items from you and the amount of these three items uh, is able to sum up to $10, for instance, or 100 naira, for instance, I'm going to give you a 2% discount. So let's see how we can create trade agreements on Dynamics 365 supply chain management. So, okay. So here, during the first class, we spoke about this search bar here where we can easily search for page on the system. So here, instead of going through the modules, I'll search for trade agreements here. Then I'll type trade. The system is able to suggest where I can define my trade agreement in the system. So we can create our trade agreement from procurement and sourcing, from sales marketing, or from retail and commerce. So here I click on trade agreement journal, click on this. So here we can see the journal that have been created. Uh, Here, the one that have not been posted will display here. If I want to see the one that have been posted already, I can click on this, show, then click on posted. Then here we can see that I have two agreements that have been posted. So let's see what we have on this trade agreement. So here we have a purchase agreement, and here we have a sales agreement. So click on the lines. So here we have the relation. This is to tell the system that this is a sales price agreement, and we can define sales agreements on items or on item groups. So there we can define the relations. Let's click on edit. If we can edit this, okay, this has been posted, so let's go back to create a new one. Then we can explore this. So I come back to not posted, click often time. So let's take maize for instance. We will make use of maize to produce things like flowers, and the price of these meals change every week or every month. We've created maize as a release product on the system, and we've been able to define the cost price of this maize. We can come back to the system to update the price of that maize using the trade agreement. So there we can do a price change. So here I have relations that say price, line, multi-line, total discount. So it's either it's purchase or it is sale. So here I want this to be applicable to purchase. So click on this. Then on the party here we have either table, group, or all. So when I pick table, this is going to show the vendors that I have on the system. And then here, if I say group, this is going to display the vendor groups that we have on the system. Then when you say all, it simply says this should be applicable to all the vendors that I have on the system. Now on the product code type table, we're going to display every items, then I can pick the item. So the release pro that I created earlier, which is the KS water, appears here. So I click on this. Then I can define the amount, I can define the currency, and when I'm done, I can save this and submit it for approval. So let's talk a little bit, like I spoke earlier on the different agreement pricing, which we have the line discount, we have the multi-line, we have the total discount. So I said the line discount agreement is a discount percentage or a discount amount that can be applied if the quantity on a sales or purchase order line meets a minimum quantity or a maximum quantity that is required by the agreement. So what that simply means is on this line, for instance, I have a minimum and I have a maximum. So I could tell the system that whenever I'm purchasing this KS water and the quantity falls between 2 gallon to 5 gallon, there should be a discount. So here we can define the discount amount that I want to be applicable. So let's put, say for instance, and then the currency is USD. Then when we talk about multiple discounts, this we can apply this when we have one or more sales order line, and when we add all these lines together, the total amount meets a discount requirement. So the multiple line simply says if I have one or two items and the sum of these two items meets the requirement, please apply the trade agreement. But when it's total discount, here we want this to be applicable to the total amount on the sales or on the purchase order. Okay, so that takes us back to the slide. So we have three items here. Number one, you need to add a discount to the purchase order amount for a specific vendor. Which can should you select? So we have the multi-line, total, then we have cash. Number two says, what define how distinct products are prescribed and how they behave in business processes? So we have product variant, we have the product, we have the product master. Then the third one, in a manufacturing unit, you need to get your finished product painted by an external vendor. What should you create for the item type? Is it service, bill of material, or a formula? So let's have a minute, second to deliberate on the answer. Okay, so the number one, we want this to be applicable on the purchase order amount. So the purchase amount simply tells me that I want it to be on the total amount of the purchase order. So the best option here is total. Then number two, what define how distinct products are described? So we spoke about products, product masters, and product variant. So product variant help us to distinguish our products either by size, by color, or by configuration. So the answer here is number two. Then the third one, so we have different product type. We have two majorly. We have the item and we have the service. So in a manufacturing unit, we finish producing an item and we want to paint that item. So we are requesting for the service of an external vendor for the painting. So the answer here obviously is going to be number one, which is service. So we just finished units in the supply chain where we're able to define how we can create products on the system. And we also look at the concept surrounding products, product masters, product variants, items, services. And we also speak a little bit about agreements, which could be trade agreements when it comes to sales orders or purchase orders. So now let's move to the next thing for the day. So we're going to explore the warehouse and inventory management capability in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. So here we're going to see how we can create things like sites, warehouses on the system, and how we can also check in we have on the system to enable us to be able to play things like purchase orders or sales orders. So after completing this lesson, we'll be able to describe things like costing method, which includes standard costing, weighted average, last in, first out, first in, first out. We'll also describe the use cases of warehouse management system, how we can configure warehouse, including things like layout, stocker limits, and location profiles. Also, we'll describe purchase orders, item journals, and cross-decking. Then we also describe quality management capabilities on the system where we can do things like quality orders when items are finished, just coming out from the production floor. We want to make sure that we run some tests on them and be sure that they are okay and ready for consumption before they are shipped to the general market. Okay, so we have costing methods. So what are costing method? Let me share my screen again. So basically, we use costing method when we are dealing with manufacturing. So costing method actually helps us to define the cost of our semi-finished goods or our finished goods during production. So we want to be able to determine things like cost of the labels, our surcharges, our overhead, or even sometimes we want to be able to factor in depreciation of the machines that we use during production. So we have a big machine that is used when we're producing things like orange juice. So we want to make sure that because every time we're using this machine for production, the machine is being depreciated bit by bit. So sometimes we want to bring those costs into the total cost of our production, which we call overhead. So there we talk about costing method. So we have the standard costing method. So we also have the actual cost. Now, when we're dealing with standard cost, it simply means we want the cost of the finished goods to only come with what we define in our formula calculation. So what is formula calculation? Let me come back to the system. So let's even talk about terms like formulas, bill of material before we're able to talk about costing method. So we are currently in Contoso urine juice. So it simply tells me that Contoso deals with the production of orange juice. Before I produce an orange juice, I need some raw materials. And these raw materials will be orange, water, some other nutrient like acid. So we have all of these items as our raw materials. We need to bring these raw materials together to form the orange juice, which is going to be our product, our finished goods at the end of the day. So when I'm creating my items, let's come back to product information management, then to release products. So I'm going to locate the item I created earlier, which is the KS water. I click on this. So what I did earlier was just to do the basic settings like the product type, the name of the item, the dimension group, the tracking dimension group, and the item model group. So I need to tell the system if this item or released product is a raw material, is it a finished good, is it a byproduct or a co-product. So we can define that under the engineer tab. So when I click on this, we have production type. So on this drop down, we have co-products, byproducts, known, planning item, bill of material, then formula. So this water is a raw material. So I'm going to change this to none. So what that simply tells me is every raw material on supply chain management needs to be defined as none on the production type property. So I want to create, I want to be able to produce an orange juice at the end of the day called KWS orange juice. So I have to create that on the system first of all and call that KWS orange juice. So I will just quickly assign some default values here. Then I need to pick the storage dimension group, the tracking dimension group, here, which is none. Then I click on OK. I bring these two together, I want to be able to sell the orange juice at $5. So that's, in that way, we are making use of the standard costing method. Then we also have the actual cost. So let's come back to this slide. Okay, so we have the actual cost where we can define the price of our raw materials based on first in, first out, last out. What that simply means is, take for instance, I purchased my orange juice in January at $4. In March, I purchased the same thing at $6. So I need to make sure that when I'm doing my production, I factor in the cost of everything I bought in January before I bring in what I bought in March. So it's done based on the setup that I pick here. So here I have warehouse management scenarios, which here define how we want to handle our items when we are bringing the item into the system, into our site and warehouses, how we handle them when they are going out, and also how we do some quality check on the item, if we need to quarantine these items, or we need to keep them in a separate warehouse where they are being checked before they come into the actual warehouse. Now, purchase orders. Purchase orders is very vital in the life of an organization because we need to have items to run the business effectively. So we can produce or we can purchase this item from external vendors. So a purchase order is simply a document that is used to represent the agreement within a vendor to buy good or service. So I'm telling the vendor I need to purchase laptop 2 from you, and we need to have an agreement. So that simply defines the concept of purchase order on the system. So to be able to create a purchase order, we need an item and we need a vendor. So we've seen how we can create items earlier. Now let's see how we can create vendors, and with these vendors, we can create a purchase order on Dynamics 365 supply chain management. So I'll go back to the ERP quickly, and let's go to procurement and sourcing module. So here we have purchase orders, then we have all purchase orders. Here we have vendors, then we have all vendors. So I click on all vendors. So a vendor is simply someone that supplies goods to an organization. Either is an item or a service. So I can have a vendor called KWS. So the vendor could either be an organization or a person. So here I'll pick person, and the name of my vendor is the first name of my vendor is Winner, and the last name is Siabi. So we have vendor group. And another thing I want to highlight is in supply chain management, which we have as part of the app in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation, the interface has fields that are mandatory. And all of these fields come with the red border. So this simply means if I don't select anything in this group, I won't be able to save the record. So when you click on save, the system is not allowing me to do that. So I need to pick on the group, drop down, and I need to pick a vendor group. So here I'll classify KWS as order vendor. Then I can add other informations like the address of the vendor, the confirmation, the bank account of the vendor, which I don't think is necessary at this point in time. So the next thing I want to do is click on save. So good. So Winner Siabi has been created as a vendor on the system and is good for us to transact with. Now I can go ahead and create a purchase order and click on all purchase orders. So when I click on all purchase order, this will show all the purchase order available on the system. And I can create a new one. So here, let's wait for this to load. Good. So I click on new. So here I would have to pick the vendor, and I pick winner Siabi. Then I will click OK. So I can also define the site. Yeah, good. So site where I want my items to be received, I can define that from the go, or I click on OK. Okay, so I have an error that says language must be filled in. So I think we have to set up the language for this vendor. I'm just going to pick another vendor quickly. Click on the drop down. Select US 111. Click on OK. So this will take me to the detail page where I specify the actual item that I want to purchase. So here I click on the drop down, and I would pick my item, which is KS water. Then I will define the quantity. So the units of my item is actually gallon. So I can define if I'm purchasing 2 gallons of KS water, then I can save this document. So having done that, we just created a purchase order that can go through approval. If it's what we want, we can submit it for approval. Once it's approved, then we can do what we call the product receipt. We receive the item. From there, we can invoice the item. So the vendor is able to give us an invoice, and with that invoice, we can raise a payment journal. Okay, so we've just looked at how we can handle purchase orders on the system. And we can print some reports on the system that deals with the purchase order document, like the confirmation report. We can generate our invoice report. We can also print out our payment report on the system, as the case may be. Okay, so I'll go back to the slide. And we'll quickly talk about inventory. What are the things that we can do in the inventory modules before we round up? Okay, so in the inventory management module, we have things like movement journal, inventory adjustment, transfer, bill of material, item arrival, counting, and turn counting. So the movement journal, for instance, can be used to move items from one warehouse to another. Or we can use the movement journal for consumption. So say, for instance, I have items that are residing in a site or in a warehouse, and this item needs to be consumed by the employee. So we can use the movement journal to consume this item. We can use the inventory adjustment journal to adjust the number of items we have. And we can use the transfer journal to transfer our items from one site to another. Then the counting journal can be used to count our items. So we have situations where physically we have 10 items, and we would like to confirm how many of these items are available on the system. So we can use the counting journal to reconciliate, or to be able to match what we have physically and what we have on the system. So let's quickly look at some reports on the inventory management module. So I go back to product information management release product. So let's pick oranges for instance. So on the action pane here, under the manage inventory, I can always see the on-hand inventory of the item. It simply means I want to see how many of these items do I have at hand currently. So here, oranges that I have available in site 1 are up to 85,000. So I can also decide to say, okay, in the site, how many warehouses do I have here? So I can come here and click on dimensions. Then I can check the warehouse and the locations if applicable. The system is going to display that for me. So the same says oranges are available in site 1 and also in warehouse 11. And here I can easily do things like quantity adjustment, which is basically the same as the counting that I spoke about earlier. So the system says on hand I have this. Then after doing my counting, maybe I have, instead of 248, I have 240. So I can adjust this here and proceed with the posting. Another thing that I can do on the item here, I can check all the transactions relating to this item. So I click on transactions. So the system is able to tell me how the on-hand inventory came about. So we have done some purchase, we've sold some of these items, we've done some purchase. So this simply means this item is not being produced internally. It's either we purchase them or we sell them out. Now, when we go to the ones that are being produced, which is our orange juice. So let's quickly check the on-hand inventory for an orange juice. So I search for juice. Okay, let's check apple juice. Come to manage inventory, on-hand inventory. Then we go to transactions. Okay, so for items that are being produced, instead of having receipts, ordered, purchase here, we will see a transaction type which is production. Okay, here. So we have production line, which means this is being produced internally. So we have some reports. Let's come to inventory management. Act of the boss, we have some reports available that we can run. Under the inquiries and report, we have the on-hand needs, we have the counting history, we have the transactions. So let's check the transaction reports before we round up. So here, as you can see, we have different items and how they are coming to the system either by sales order, by quality order, purchase order, production, and the rest of them. So here, I think our time is up. Okay, so we have a lab that says create a purchase order, which we've done earlier. So we've seen how we can create a purchase order by going to the procurement and sourcing module. or purchase order, and we also have our vendors created before we can go ahead and create our purchase order. Even before that, we have some other setup that can be done right from beginning of the implementations, and these are basic setups before we can have a proper flow of our P2P, which is the procurement process, which is procure to pay. So I think with that, we can end here. If we have any questions, we can drop them on the chat box and we'll address them. Thank you. Okay, so I think we're good. So I'll see you guys again next week, Saturday, for human resources in Dynamics 365 finance and operation. So if we don't have any questions, I think we can end it here for today. So thank you guys. See you.